In this lecture, I will go over the lightings. This is the continued part, and this time we're gonna specifically look at the different types of lightings. Back to Unity, I'll show you that earlier that I gave you a directional light, which is the one that comes by default whenever you create a new scene in Unity. And I'm going to play with the other types of lighting. Right now, I disabled all the lightings, that's why it kind of looks weird and there's almost no light. And I'm gonna click on Game Object, and then I select the light option, and then I'm not gonna go with directional light because that's the one we just saw in the previous lecture. I'm gonna go with a point light. Now, point light, usually it's as simple as it says, it's a point light, and the light goes in every direction around it. Now, think about this as what you would use for a torch or a lantern, okay? So that's how a point light works. Now, I'm going to select that point light and just move it around. So I'm going to select the move tool and just pull it up. And as you're pulling it up, you see that the light comes from above. But if I pull it down, the light comes from down. And if you see here, it's like burning here. Why? Because the light is so close that the light is very strong here. Now, if you want to increase the ratio of this point light, select the point light, go to the inspector, and you can increase the range here. Right now it's at 10, but if I put it at 100, look what happens. It's even more, it's expanded, there's more light. So if you put at 1000, it's going to be even more than this, okay? And something you want to know also is the intensity. You can make it more intense, which is going to burn like the sun, or less intense. So if in any game you have some kind of a very bright light, you would use a point light. Sometimes you use this whenever you have a chest and you want the chest that has a treasure to have a lot of light so that people can see it and like, oh, I gotta go this way, right? So that's what you would add. Okay, so point lights are very expensive and you can add many point lights because it's a lot to process here. But usually games have many point lights, especially when you have lots of torch and bulbs. So you can duplicate this point light and move it a little bit. So how do you duplicate? Well, you right click on the point light and click on duplicate. That's it. All right, that's in the hierarchy. Now I have two of them, so it's twice as strong, and I'm gonna move it. So now I have two lights, and I'm gonna change the color to something blue so that it's easier to see that we have two different colors. All right, so I have a white, a blue light, and I'm going to duplicate this one. Command D is a shortcut. Move it to the left and change its color to red so that we can see another light as well. Alright, so in no time I was able to have lights. And look at these effects. They look really good, right? So I definitely advise you to use some of them. But again, I advise you not to use too many of them, okay? I've done that in the past, and your games will be able to play on some console, like really good consoles, but if you try on mobile devices, it might be a showstopper. So again, do not use too many lights. Alright, the next light that I want you to see is go to light and click on the spotlight. Now, the spotlight is very similar to the directional light, but the difference is that this one stops more abrupt in the sense that, okay, so let me take the 3-point light and disable them and show you that the spotlight right here is just like you say, like if you're on stage and you have a spot of light, that's exactly what it does. Okay, so now what the spotlight is different than the directional light in the sense that the directional light is putting light in your whole scene. However, a spotlight only goes where the cone is touching. You guys see that cone? You can increase the cone size so that you can have more of them. You can increase the range, which would increase the cone distance and increase the spot angle. Okay, so the spot, the spot would say how is the angle, and as you can see, the bigger angle, the bigger area it could light. So I'm going to increase the range of that spotlight. I'm going to move the spotlight up. Why would I do that? Well, because look at the actual colors. The closer the spotlight, the more light you get. Okay, so the closer to the object, the more light you get, and the further away, the less light you get. Obviously, just like a real spot. Okay, so know how to use that. And again, it has the exact same properties as the other tools. You can have shadows or no shadows, and you can easily change the colors with the color palette, so I'm not going to go into too many details here. Alright, and the last light that we have not seen is the area light, and as the area light says, it will light up a whole area. So you select which area you want to light up. Let me remove the spotlight for now. select the area light, and go to the width and height. So the bigger the width, let's say if you have the width of 100 and the height of 100, this area will all get some light, okay? Now, the lighting for the area light does not do anything that the others don't. It's just a way to get a quicker light in the specific area. But you need to actually bake it. So when you click on area light, this needs to bake. And the area that bakes means that you actually need to build it. And this is more complicated, so don't worry if you're not following right now. I advise you not to use it anyway. But what you'll have to do is go to Window, then go to the Lighting, and then go to the Light Maps tab, and here make sure you have the baking of light maps that's selected. So whenever you run that, you will see the lights in your game. So we don't see the light here, but whenever you go to the game, you see the light, okay? Okay, so that's everything you need to know right now about lighting. You have more than you need to have lots of good lights inside of your game.